Thousands of Sri Lankans protest a UN resolution. Peel holds discussions over so-called in-law suites. And it's winter time in Edmonton. Hello and welcome to Omni News South Asian Edition. I'm Angie Seth, and welcome to our Ontario viewers who are tuning in at 10 p.m. Tonight we begin with Sri Lanka and the ghost that continues to haunt the government there, those alleged war crimes from 2009. Now, the United Nations Human Rights Council will be discussing a resolution on those alleged war crimes in Sri Lanka, and that is provoking a massive backlash in the island nation, with tens of thousands participating in an anti-UN demonstration across the country.
Shouting anti-American slogans and holding up placards in support of Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapakse, thousands of people, including cabinet ministers, lawmakers, and government supporters, marched in the capital, blocking traffic on main roads for hours.
Without any political differences and religion differences, without any party politics differences, we have got together here and marched towards to the embassy of United States, and we handed over a petition and requesting or informing them not to do so.
The protesters do not want the Human Rights Council to discuss a resolution calling on Colombo to submit a timetable to implement the recommendations made by a government-appointed commission to improve good governance, human rights, and reconciliation with minority Tamils. Protesters say this will interfere with the regular governance of the country. Last week, the U.S. announced if Sri Lanka continued to resist the resolution, quote, all options would remain on the table, including an outside investigation. According to the 2010 UN panel report, tens of thousands of civilians may have been killed during the civil war. The government-appointed commission has cleared government troops of deliberately targeting civilians, but it did propose an inquiry into complaints of isolated violations. The Sri Lankan Commission also said the Tamil Tigers had violated international humanitarian laws. The council began its 4-week meeting on world human rights issues today in Geneva.
Turning to news from here at home, well, it was a busy day in the House of Commons today with a lot of finger-pointing and debate. Today, the Liberals took the fall, apologizing for the WikiLeaks attacks on Public Safety Minister Vic Taves. Interim Liberal leader Bob Rae says a Liberal Party staff member was responsible for the internet leaks and has resigned. Rae offered an apology to Taves.
But I've tried in my political life to make it very clear that matters of personal and private conduct are not to be the subject of political attack or political reference.
2 weeks ago, information from an anonymous Twitter account gave details of Taves' divorce proceedings. It was in response to the government's controversial online surveillance bill. Taves says he's since been the target of threats and intimidation.
There is a campaign to inundate my office with calls, emails, and faxes. This campaign is hindering my staff from serving the people of Provencher.
Meanwhile, Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird apologized to the NDP for accusing them of being responsible for the internet attacks. Wow, how many of you know whether the basement apartment you're living in is legal or not? Well, in a large number of Ontario municipalities, basements built after November 16th, 1995 are in fact illegal. And it wasn't until the year 2000 that the City of Toronto came up with a bylaw permitting these second dwelling units. Now, the province wants other municipalities to do the same. Kiranpreet Chima has more on this developing story.
It can be that easy, renting the basement. But what may be surprising and shocking for many is that a large number of basement apartments in Ontario are illegal. And reportedly there are tens of thousands of those just in the Peel region itself. Recently, Ontario government passed a legislation requiring municipalities to permit these second units or the basements.
The province has indicated we are required to, but it's up to us how.
It was on November 16, 1995, the province introduced a bill giving municipalities the right to outlaw the basements. So in many municipalities like Brampton and Mississauga, any basement or the second dwelling unit built after November 16, 1995 are illegal. However, in just a few cities like Toronto, these units are allowed to be permitted. And now all Ontario municipalities are required to do the same.
We are right now doing a series of 5 consultation sessions within the community to hear thoughts and ideas on how to build a Made in Mississauga solution to permitting second units in the city.
While the city of Brampton says it is reviewing its policy, which will eventually be followed by public consultations.
And after these public consultations, City will be coming up with regulations for the homeowners to get the permit or legalize second units in their houses.
But both cities have recognized the concern associated with these illegal units. It's not only a tax loss, but a matter of safety for the tenants living in such units. And for a homeowner, if found guilty of breaking a law, the fine could be anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000, and even imprisonment, depending upon the municipality they're living in. This realtor says they usually guide home buyers about this.
We disclose all kind of the legalities which we should have to cover by ourselves also, because we tell them that this basement is not a retrofit status, so if the basement is not legal.
He says most of the renting deals in the community are informal.
Sometimes their relatives are sharing the basement, or the newcomers, they just pay cash and they just renting the basements, because sometimes maybe the lack of knowledge or maybe some other issues also.
But from now on, any house with a basement that has a separate side entrance and a full kitchen will need to have a permit. How and by what time, that would be a decision of the municipality the house is located in. Kiranpreet Chiba, Omni News, Toronto.
Still in Ontario, just a day after a Via Rail passenger train derailed, killing 3 people, investigators are now trying to figure out exactly what happened. Earlier today, the train's black box was recovered, and officials are hoping it will offer some clues as to why the train fell off its tracks. Meanwhile, railway industry critics say more funding is needed to avoid such accidents.
The Transportation Safety Board says the train was switching tracks when it derailed near Burlington yesterday afternoon. It's not yet known if that played a factor in the crash, but it's expected that the data recorder found today will help determine the cause.
It'll tell us the speed, tell us the brake pressure, tell us where the brakes are applied, whether he's blowing the whistle, the bell was side. It tells us everything that crew was doing inside that locomotive.
3 Via Rail employees were killed in the crash. They've been identified as 56-year-old Ken Simons and 52-year-old Peter Snar, both from Toronto, and veteran rail workers. 40-year-old Patrick Robinson was also killed. He was just observing at the time of the crash.
Despite this very tragic accident, I can assure you that rail travel is still very safe.
The Toronto-bound train was traveling from the Niagara area when it went off the tracks around 3:30 yesterday afternoon. 32 people suffered a range of injuries, including 1 passenger who suffered a heart attack, another with a broken leg, and a third with a back injury.
We flung sideways, and then I just looked up and everyone was screaming.
The investigation by the Transportation Safety Board is expected to take as long as a year. But if any urgent safety issues are identified, they will be made public before the final report.
Well, hundreds of Toronto's taxi cab drivers stopped their meters this morning to participate in what they're calling the Taxi Driver Day of Action. The drivers say it's all about fairness.
This was the scene this morning on Toronto's busy Queen Street outside City Hall. Members of the iTaxi Workers Association rallied to have their voices heard. The drivers say they're fed up with what they call a 2-tier system, which they say the city promised to reform over 10 months ago.
The ambassador that they cannot hire second driver and they cannot lease out their car to the next driver. If they get sick or if they get busy, they go on vacation. They let their car sit in their driveway. Whereas the other standard plates, they can hire second driver. They can have a vacation. They can have all the other benefits from those plates.
What most people don't know is that taxi drivers have one of the most dangerous professions in all of Toronto. They're the most likely profession to be murdered, twice as likely as police officers. And so all of these things speak to the fact that taxi drivers are very vulnerable. They work in very precarious conditions, and it makes for a less productive, less efficient industry.
The association says the average hourly wage for a taxi driver in this city is just $4.78. Adil Halim, Omni News, Toronto.
Well, we've all been waiting for that major winter blast, and for Alberta, it certainly came with a bang. The province was battered with heavy snowfall over the weekend. Edmonton received more snow in 2 days than it has since the start of the winter season. Barbara Thierkelly has more on this latest winter blast.
About 17 centimeters of snow accumulated in Edmonton in the last 2 days. Some areas around the city saw more than 20 centimeters of snow. Overnight temperatures also dipped close to -20. Black ice and blowing snow caused poor driving conditions across the highways. The city has issued a seasonal parking ban on residential bus routes, which is expected to stay for 2 days.
It didn't compact. It was cold enough that it is pushing very well. At most 48 hours. We'll see what our progress is by the end of the day tomorrow.
Dunford says the city is at its full force plowing snow from major roads.
We started midnight last night with the contract graders to supplement our city forces. In total, we have about 260 pieces of equipment on the road. We had a fairly good turnout from the contract graders, and we're making good progress.
This is Edmonton's second parking ban of the season. Those who disregard the ban have to pay $50 fine, and if the vehicle is towed, the penalty is $116. There is no snow in the forecast, but temperatures will remain fairly chilly for the rest of the week in Edmonton. Barbara Thierkelly, Omni News, Edmonton.
Coming up, a militant outfit targets Nepal's oil corporation. And breathtaking but deadly as yet another avalanche strikes Indian Kashmir.
This program is brought to you in part by Lotomax. This Friday's jackpot is an estimated $30 million.
Closed captioning provided in part by Countrywide Homes.
We build trust. Countrywide Homes.
Come and discover all the wonders of the Yucatan Peninsula, like here, or here, or here. Mexico is more than just sun, sand, and beach. It's Campeche, the cradle of Mayan culture. It's Riviera Maya, a field of dreams and sandcastles. It's Yucatan, a state of countless natural wonders. It's the Yucatan Peninsula. Discover the Yucatan Peninsula with iTravel 2000. To learn more, visit our Mexico Superstore at iTravel2000.com. Mexico, the place you thought you knew.
Great. Left the umbrella at the office, couldn't find the top to the travel mug? This could be a Monday morning you won't ever forget, unless you have WeatherTech floor liners. WeatherTech liners are laser measured to custom fit and perfectly protect your specific make and model. Dirt and spills go into the liner and stay in the liner until you wash them away. Order your WeatherTech floor liners today at weathertech.ca or call this number. Don't wait till it's too late. Order your WeatherTech protection today. Complete protection, completely North American made at weathertech.ca.
I had my vision corrected, and it really did change my life. I love what I do because I love helping people. Matching the right procedure with the right patient is what sets us apart at the Herzig Eye Institute. We make a difference in people's lives. Perhaps we can make a difference in yours. Learn more at highdefinitionvision.com. See the difference at Herzig Eye Institute.
Attention all realtors and homeowners. Harold the Jewelry Buyer is now arranging fast mortgages and equity loans. 1. Now paying even higher prices for gold, diamonds, and Rolex watches. 2. Jewelry loans on the spot. And 3. First and second mortgages within 5 business days. Any amount.
Call me for a speedy first or second mortgage.
No income statements necessary.
Let me provide you with the cash you need.
The Jewelry Buyer. New location, Bathurst Street, One Light, south of Lawrence.
DeRose Barristers and Solicitors are the experts in assisting clients involved in car accidents and personal injuries.
We'll fight to get you the best compensation for your injuries.
Call today for a free consultation.